Tonight on the Tom Kelly Show, we're going to explain why this man is getting his ass kicked on the Upper East Side. For those of you listening to the audio version, just trust me, I'm showing video of a man getting his ass kicked right now. Plus, a healthcare executive was murdered in Midtown Manhattan in broad daylight and in cold blood. And instead of New Yorkers being afraid of getting shot themselves, we're somehow all singing, "Ding dong, the witch is dead." That surprised me. Also, we're going to try salt and straw ice cream on the show. Look at me acting like I haven't had like a million pints of this before, but I'm going to act like it's fresh and exciting. You know what else is fresh and exciting? This whole darn show. Let's start it now.
The Tom Kelly Show.
There you go.
Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show.
Yes, come on, sing it, people.
I want you all to know.
I know you're out there in the car singing. Come on.
Kelly Show.
There you go. And what? Bomb.
Thank you.
Keep that money coming. Keep that money coming. Keep that money coming. Here we go. Content warning. Spoiler alert. Get a spoon for your ice cream. You are experiencing a freakishly real-time edition of the Tom Kelly Show. Actually, not even real-time. We're late. I'm recording at 11:30 Sunday night, which really will be Monday morning for when I release the audio version of the show. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, all you need to know is I'm here. Quick magic mirror doing the show really because of two people. Andrew Carter, Sharon Newman, both of whom wrote me nice notes this weekend. Hello. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for being new to the show. I see you. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show, the podcast where one stand-up comedian, his life fell apart. This became a self-help podcast. I kept telling you guys for 4 years, life is going to get better. And, well, for me, it really didn't. Not in the substantial terms, but I'm still having a great time. I'm your stand-up comedian friend. That's all I got. People say, hey, what's your show about? It's about me just trying to have a good time as my life fucking falls apart. And that is the story. Listen, folks, one day, if I kick the bucket, I don't need to write a suicide note. I just have this podcast. It sounds stupid, but actually, a lot of good things have come out of the podcast. It gives me a chance to vent, but it's funny, when you do these shows, especially when I do it alone, I feel like I'm a madman. Like it's funny. My friend Mike McGarrigle and I, when we were kids in junior high, we would go into his basement. We would take an old, boombox and do pretend radio shows into the boombox, and we would record it on a cassette tape. And there would only be one copy of the show. And there are days where I feel like that one cassette tape had more listeners than this podcast. I actually know it's wrong because the numbers go up and down. And that's part of why we're going to talk about this UnitedHealthcare CEO thing. And I guess, you know what, being honest and, telling you guys, it's funny, I'm a stand-up comedian. And on the podcast, I own my vulnerabilities that I feel broken. When I go on Instagram and other social media, I kind of can't show this side of myself because if a clip goes viral, the creepers come in and you can't be as real as I am here. And listen, just in that little minute right there, I kind of honestly said I feel like a broken human being. And I know I'm not alone because when UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson got shot last week, it wasn't... I expected a panic of people going, ooh, wow, corporate executive got shot dead on 6th Avenue. That could be all of us. I thought there would be, for a second, this whole big thing of we're all going to get murdered. Instead, this man's death became an expression of everything we hate about the healthcare system. And I did not expect that. Now, a lot of tasteless jokes out there. A lot of hacky, tasteless jokes. I've told one, which I've taken down for different reasons. The joke was, someone pointed out that I put my real address up in an Instagram reel that actually is going viral right now. And my reply was, no, and even if I did, there is nobody who wants to stalk or murder me enough that they're willing to drive to New York City, pay congestion pricing, pay for the tolls, and spend an hour looking for a parking spot to murder or stalk me. I'm a stand-up comedian with a podcast, not the president of UnitedHealthcare. Too soon? I thought that was a funny joke, and I thought the person who was busting my chops was being a friend when they said that. What do you know? That person tried to post my address online. Little did that person know I was joking about someone else's house being my house. So I hope whoever's in someone else's house that I was pretending was my house, I hope they don't get murdered. But hey, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with that at all. But where was I going? Oh, yeah, the Brian Thompson. My TikTok feed, dude. I just did not expect. Like the first minute was like really a few jokes about the manhunt. And it was a lot of, like people who express how they've been screwed by healthcare. And I'll be honest, man, you know what? When you point out some of these things, like one of the things that I think is Blue Cross Blue Shield right now is considering it. And I think I'm switching to that insurance company this January, that they were questioning whether or not you could have anesthesia for the whole friggin' surgery. They were actually, Blue Cross Blue Shield was considering prescribing this podcast to replace anesthesia in long surgeries. You know, I mean, I don't know, but it's just funny. Like at first I was like a little bit offended. I'm like, a real guy is dead. But then I'm like, wait, how many times have I been dicked over by my insurance company? Various insurance companies over the year. It's like, geez, there was a look-alike contest, two look-alike contests in New York City. One for Jenna Ortega, who played Wednesday on the Addams Family spinoff Wednesday on Netflix. I think 5 people went to that one. And then there was another look-alike contest. There have been a lot of look-alike contests in New York City where it's kind of like almost a flash mob, and they want a flash mob of people who look like a celebrity. They did it for Timothée Chalamet, and Timothée Chalamet showed up for his. But they did a look-alike contest for Brian Thompson. And instead of a bunch of people showing up looking like Brian Thompson, more people showed up looking like his mysterious killer.
The American intelligence community. Yeah.
If there's any chance the real one was here?
You tell me.
It kind of looks like him.
I think you guys look the most like him.
You know, and it's funny, you get into the things, like I wrote just some interesting topics that I'm not going to explore, but you could ask him yourself, how did healthcare screw you? You know? And this is a great tweet that I saw was, how could this guy be worth more than $10 million a year? He died and the company's still working. You know, and by no means am I encouraging this stuff. But if the star of a movie got shot, they have to reshoot the whole damn movie. You know, if you, when Bruce Lee's kid, when Brandon Lee died in the middle of a movie, they had to reshoot half the movie. The movie didn't do so well, blah, blah, blah. Money was lost. We shot the guy from UnitedHealthcare. Not we. I wasn't involved. Or was I? But the company's still going. Claims are still being processed. Claims are still being denied. Anyway, and I just had this thought that I thought would work for any job you have. Have this conversation with your coworkers by the water cooler. If your boss were randomly killed, why do you think people would have killed him or her, and who did it? You comment below. Who would kill your boss? And would they get away with it? There's your thing right here. All right. Oh, I'm doing, you know what? This has been out for a while. This is probably wrong. So we've talked about my ice cream problem on the show. This is salt and straw ice cream. First, let's talk about the evolution of ice cream in America. We've gotten out of control, people. I remember when I was a kid, we had vanilla, we had chocolate, we had strawberry, and if things were exotic in the 1970s and early 1980s, they had the Neapolitan, which was 3 ice cream flavors jammed into 1 quart. Then they had soft serve, your Carvel, where they had vanilla and chocolate. And if things were going well, you could have it with sprinkles or rainbow sprinkles. I describe our ice cream epidemic, and I've said this before. When I get depressed, and I am fighting through one of my depressions lately, I feel like ice cream has become the equivalent of get the kids out of the room quickly, giving you a 3-second head start. 1, 2, 3. Modern ice cream is the equivalent of choking yourself while masturbating. We've just run out of ways to pleasure ourselves, people. Like it started with vanilla, chocolate, whatever. Then Baskin Robbins. Oh my friggin' God, they got 31 damn flavors. Yay! You know, but that was, and then occasionally they added, I think it was 30 flavors, and then one was like a recurring flavor. And that always brings me to my great Greg Tufaro quote, Rocky Road is forever. It's always on the list of 31. Then you have Ben & Jerry's. And I'll be honest, first time I had Ben & Jerry's, man, that Chubby Hubby, I think it is, the one with the chocolate-covered pretzels, the peanut butter. Dude, I've only had sex a few times in my life. And that really filled a hole. But then you get tired of it. And then they came up with this thing, Van Leeuwen. They're in all the malls right now. There's like one on every other New York City street corner. They're fine. You know, they're good. They have like this Marionberry cheesecake thing that was the most exciting thing ever for me for a couple weeks. And now you have salt and straw. I think it's like $13 a pint. You can only get it from the store. And they got, let's say, 20 flavors. They rotate. Today I have gingerbread cookie dough. And how did nobody come up with that idea over the last 20 years? Then I have a little bit more exotic chocolate babka with hazelnut fudge. And I did a little taste test of that in the store. It's fantastic. And then pistachio and ricotta cannoli. Yeah, this is the equivalent of a high-end call girl at this point. And it turns out a lot of comedians and creatives, they crave, and people who quit drinking, they crave sugar at the end of the night. And this salt and straw, this is the high-end hooker that I can't afford. Breyer's ice cream, you're a toothless crack whore compared to this stuff. I have a sore throat. I don't know why the hell I'm podcasting and eating ice cream, but I'm okay with that. I'll give you this one. I teased this one in the cold open. This is a little bit political. You know, I've been saying this, well, New York, local politics have gotten crazy here in New York. Follow the new, we had him on the podcast before. Our friend Tom Kniff is the lawyer for a man named Daniel Penny, who has been charged with second-degree manslaughter in the death of a man named Jordan Neely, who, without getting to, listen, I'm compassionate. Mentally ill man walking up to and threatening people on the subway. And then this guy, Jordan Neely, Daniel Penny, who's a former Marine, tough guy. I don't know if he jumped the gun or what's the standards for it, but while this guy, Jordan Neely, was threatening people, Daniel Penny got behind, put the guy in a chokehold, subdued him, and then the kid died. And we could get into the particulars and stuff later. But there's a lot of people getting harassed in New York and nobody doing anything about it. So I showed you the punch. What happened before the punch was I pulled over on the Upper East Side of New York City, a rich neighborhood. Pulled in for a late night slice of pizza because I thought that would be healthier than ice cream. And you ever just see a drunk who you know is dark and about to be violent? I have clips, but the clips are kind of boring and busy, but I ordered my slice. And I like my slice not too hot, not too cold. I'm Goldilocks, people. I am Goldilocks. And this kid started busting the balls of the pizza people. Now, it's important to say that the guy I know who was the harasser was white. He was harassing the Hispanic chef and the racially mixed guy behind the counter. And then he went and basically while harassing them, he didn't have money. He did have money. He was pretending he had money. He was, jerking them around to try to get a free slice. And I just said, listen, buddy, I'll give you the slice of pizza if you leave.
Go. I'm not trying to mess with you. Go. To the way. I want something to eat. You can't even do that. Sir, we're going to slice.
Give him my slice if he gets out.
Wait. Focus.
I'll buy another.
Man, all I want is I had a goddamn guy.
But you got to do it outside. But you got to walk out.
He's going to give you a slice.
I'm buying you a slice if you walk out, sir.
There's an emerald symbol on the map.
If not, I think you're just making trouble for the man.
Something's
You got 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8.
And he left, but forgot to take the slice of pizza I gave him, which, by the way, was my slice of pizza, and it was too hot because he was jerking around, pissing these guys off. They didn't take my slice out fast enough, and I burned the roof of my mouth. But that's not the tragedy of this story. It's not my burnt roof of my mouth roof. Is there a name for that? Is that the mandibula? Let me know. Anyway, guy goes outside and we see it. There's a overnight, some form of construction crew, Hispanic guys working on a scaffolding. And there's a guy on a cherry picker. And I did not hear this. I only saw the visuals. But the guy who was harassing the pizza guy apparently was threatening to shoot these 5 guys stuck up on a scaffolding. And the guy on the cherry picker gets down, gets in the face of this guy. Guy shoves him. And the guy from the cherry picker wasn't having it and started beating the shit out of the drunk, mentally ill, drugged up man. And one thing that's important is when this guy was harassing the pizza guy said, I'm going to call the cops. And the guy said, the cops ain't going to do shit.
I came here earlier, so you leave now or I'll call the cops. You were here earlier. What's the cops? Road trip.
Because, we're not policing people. If this guy got arrested, he'd be out in an hour. Out in an hour. Anyway, the reason I tell this story, with all of the races, this is a white, mentally ill man, and as we wait for a verdict, I just think that the mentally ill, threatening regular people just trying to live their lives is a bigger problem in New York City than New York City is admitting. How about that for my safe, middle-of-the-road political opinion as I thin the show out? I'm going to close with this. I'm going to try a little bit of the ice cream. I meant to eat the ice cream in front of you and do a taste test. That is not going to happen today. So how about this, people? The show's long enough. There is new content on the Instagram, generally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'd love it if you comment and shared those. I have other stories for another time that we'll talk about later. And right now, just listen. Sharon, Andrew, Marianne, Dan, Brian. I'm going through the list off the top of my head. Ryan, Wally, Judy, and Reno. Who else? Oh, here we go. I've got Karen in Amityville, Tony in Amityville. I see all of you. What else? And then also, actually, I put them in the YouTube link if you want more Tom Kelly, and God knows you do. I did a stand-up memories episode of that podcast with a guy, Jackie the Joke Man Martling and Dr. Peter Bales. And then I was on a podcast called Behind the Blowhole. I'd love to know your thoughts on those. But until next time, folks, good night, New York.